We are awaiting sentencing for the 3 men convicted in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Court is on a quick lunch break right now, so we're going to continue the conversation while we wait for the judge to re-enter the courtroom. The impact of this trial, no doubt, on just race in America, specifically on that community there in Brunswick, Georgia, is tremendous. And we've talked to a number of faith leaders about this very subject. 2 of them, the senior pastor of Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church, Dr. John Perry, back with us, along with Reverend Kate Buckley of St. Simon's Presbyterian. Great to have you both again today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Perry, let's start with you. You know the Arbery family very well. Your son actually played football with Ahmaud. We heard his mother this morning say that raising him was the honor of her life. She was so detailed and so specific and so compassionate about her relationship with her son and the way they found him that day. It was powerful. Do you think any sentence would create justice for this young man's life as you watch just the final day here and listen to family members?
Well, of course, the family is looking for a form of justice. But despite whatever sentence is given, there's going to be a pain that they have to live with. And we've seen that pain throughout the process. We've seen different family members have moments of communicating, different moments of memories of the life of Ahmaud Arbery. And when they share those moments immediately, they begin to flow with tears. And so the sentencing will begin the process of trying to heal for the family. But of course, they will be left with trauma that they will deal with for the rest of their life.
How do you think that Ahmaud's family is doing in this moment when trying to look forward, trying to heal, trying to keep focus on advocacy and justice for their son? I mean, you're talking to them, you're counseling them, you're spending time with them. Can you give us a sense kind of from the spiritual inside to how you think they're doing and what you've needed to do to just help keep them strong?
Well, as a family, they are a family that is full of faith. They trust God through the process of this. Of course, in this particular case, our local system failed on many counts. And despite the failure of a system that is paid by taxpayers to render justice and to make sure that we receive due process, we had to depend upon the state to come in and people from all over the country to come in before they could get justice. And it was their faith that believed, despite the failure of our local system, that they could still receive the justice that they were looking for. And so we've seen a family unite in faith. And despite the moments of feeling numbness, there still was this belief that God will get us through it. And so they've been a remarkable example of how to deal with tremendous trauma that you're not expecting, but to trust God to get you through the process. And so we've been there just to support their faith stands. As clergy, it's refreshing when you have persons that already have a faith relationship with God and they're trusting God. And so we've just been a support system for the faith that was already deep within their hearts.
And Reverend Buckley, both of you are members of the group Glenn Clergy for Equity. You've been so active outside that courthouse leading a prayer service this morning. Tell me, Reverend Buckley, what is the message that you want to send as this sentencing is being considered? What do you think the community needs to hear right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me on today. It was a powerful morning this morning. It was a small group gathered in the chilly hours of the morning, and we were just praying for God to be at work in all of the pain and all of the suffering. And there has been plenty division and brokenness, broken hearts all around. But the message this morning that I was so touched by was we had this communal prayer where people could just shout out a word of what they were praying for to God. And we had words like reconciliation and hope and love and peace and imagination and renewal. And so even despite the tragic events and the sadness of Maud's death and the sadness of the McMichaels and Brian's families about to be separated from them for a very long time, there's a lot of suffering going on, but we just have to hold strong that there could be a different future for our community. It can look life-giving rather than life-taking.
Let me ask you this, Reverend Buckley. I mean, we expect for people of faith to come together and not see color lines. That's how it should be, right? That's how God intended things to be, just to love each other and to pray together no matter what your background, what your color, what your status. Within all of this, have you seen a presence, a conversation among non-believers, maybe those that did segregate their lives, put aside faith, but had certain opinions by living in this part of the country? Have you seen a racial gathering of others within this community across the country, outside of the faith circle, that are talking about what needs to be different in this world?
Oh, I hope so. I hope it just continues to be a conversation that we enter with authenticity and with vulnerability, but we're not set up for that. We prefer to disagree, and we prefer to be safe on our own sides of things. But I really do hope that this was what we talked about this morning, that from the rubble and the dust and the debris from this tragic event, I really do hope that we can come out stronger, and that we can come out actually seeing one another. Rachel Bregman has talked before about this, the surface level of getting together and connecting, up here, but really like taking time to foster relationships and risk having, differing contexts and really reaching across, being a bridge rather than a gap. I really hope that this conversation spans outside of the faith community, to all of the world, really. That's my hope.
Dr. Perry, your thoughts?
Well, this sentencing process is not a time of celebration. Actually, it's the beginning of closure for the family, and I want to emphasize the beginning of closure for the family, but it's the continuation of much needed work for reform within our community in terms of our local law enforcement and our justice system here. And so there's a lot of work that is taking place, and we're hoping that the end result is that our community becomes a model of what reconciliation looks like, what harmony looks like. We have quite a bit of people doing a lot of work to make sure that we get right this whole thing of race relations. Our clergy understands that if we're going to herald that message, we first of all have to exemplify it. And so we've been doing a better job as clergy, forging relationships so that we can be an example of that it's possible. And so the hopes is that God starts something right here in Brunswick, and that it spills over into the nation, and it helps us to be a lot less divided.
Well, it's possible. We just have to be committed to doing it. Dr. John Perry, Reverend Kate Buckley, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.